Welcome back to the Communication Collaboration as we continue our conversation with the activist.
I think that that's a wonderful idea. I do think that there should be a cap, or just that should be regulated.
Right.
And men, if they're worried about losing money, maybe they wouldn't, because more people would go to the doctor.
I mean, that's what I think too.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, because you have a problem where people are, like you said, afraid to go to the doctor. Because, I mean, before I got insurance, of course, I was uninsured. And that was one of my biggest fears, that if something happened to me and I had to go to the hospital, that I'm going to put my family in financial jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at a point where don't take me unless I'm dying.
Right.
And even though I'm dying, I'm not going to pay for it because I'm not going to be able to. So, I mean,
Exactly.
you're going to be making a little bit of money, I would think, more, because my theory is this: you sell one thing for $1 million or 1 million things for $1, it's still the same money.
Absolutely.
No,
I think that that's a fabulous point.
I'm going round and around right now with the insurance company because I herniated 3 discs in my back. Went to the doctor and they gave me a back brace. Now I have insurance. I have pretty good insurance. But I got the bill for that back brace. And my payment for the back brace was only, I think it was $64. But the back brace itself cost $2,000. And so I immediately called them and said, I'm not paying this. And they were pretty much like, I don't know why you're complaining. You're only paying $64.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, somebody had to pay $2,000 for that back brace.
Yeah.
And it's not worth it. I know it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
The people who made the motherfucker didn't even make that much money.
Yep, absolutely.
So it really gets me pissed off when you start talking about healthcare and what we charge. It's almost like, can you afford to stay alive?
Exactly.
Because if you can't, then that helps too, because they're making money off of that as well.
Yep.
Big pharmaceutical steps in and goes, you know what? We don't make money off of curing people.
Make money off sick people.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. So, I mean, they have incentive to do that. And it seems to me that right or left, if they really cared about that, somebody would step in and go, you can't charge that much money for that service.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. I know, I remember I watched this video. I wish that I remembered her name so I could put it out there, but anytime one of her videos pop up, I love her. She's like a congresswoman, and she is ruthless. She's talking to whoever, and she'll bust out a dry erase board, and she's writing everything out for them, whether it's like math problems and stuff. And I remember someone was answering her questions. She was it was right, like, I don't want to say it was like at the beginning of the coronavirus thing, since the United States was so late in addressing that.
Mm-hmm.
But she basically was asking this guy, you have the authority, you have the power to approve this, whatever it was. So coronavirus testing is free for every single American. Can you commit to that? And, he was like, oh, I don't know if I have the, and she's like, no, I'm telling you right now, state statute, you have the authority to do this right now. And she's, right now, like, how many people it's already affected and how many people it's going to, and he was just so put on the spot. And she was just absolutely ruthless, and he ended up agreeing to it. So because of her, everybody was able to get tested for the coronavirus for free.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see more people do stuff like that. I think that with, our healthcare is just so privatized, and people are just making so much money that it is sick.
Mm-hmm.
It is literally sick. People are dying.
Yes,
and,
they are.
And they don't care. And I think that that's unacceptable.
Very unacceptable.
Yeah. That's why I think that it's coming to a head. Like, there are certain things that are just not gonna fly anymore, and it's scary, but I'm kind of excited.
Yeah.
kind of excited to see.
I gotta say, it breaks my heart that you're jaded at 25. I didn't hit that until about, I don't know, mid to late 30s.
Oh my gosh. I don't even. Yeah, I guess I do feel a little jaded, but I guess it just is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I love my mom. I love my mom so much. My mom is not a political person by any means, and it feels like I don't know, it's just with me, but she tries to avoid like that kind of stuff at all cost, and you know, she's like, a lot of moms, she'll tell me how smart I am, how pretty I am, how proud she is of me, and whenever I was growing up, she would call me like her little flower child because, you know, I cared about anything and everyone, and, you know, animals, but as I'm getting older, it's not, I don't think that she thinks it's as cute as it was. You know, for the longest time, I was so smart, but then whenever I bring up certain issues, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I was like, you know, Mom, with all due respect, you know, I love you so much, but which one of us do you think is gonna know more? The one that doesn't want to talk about politics ever, or the one who actively goes to city council meetings, or the one that actively reads, or, you know, the one that just actively seeks out knowledge, you know, because I'm gonna have to go with the one that actively, you know, like seeks out knowledge, you know. So I think that
do you not give her any credit for her age?
I absolutely do. You know, my mom, I don't think that anyone is a stranger to her. I really do think that she can talk to anyone, and I think that she has the ability to turn any negative situation around. You know, I remember, I don't know if it was last Thanksgiving, maybe it was a little before that, but my mom rents her salon, and or like the building, or the, you know, where her salon is, and the owner of that building was in a very serious motorcycle accident, and his wife, he was recently married, and I think that they recently had a child, but his wife is very nice, but she speaks broken English. It is pretty hard to communicate with her, and he did survive, but he was pretty messed up for a long time, and my mom was there, I mean, for weeks for her. She would get, you know, collect these like baskets and fill them up with like goodies and stuff, or you know, just like what she needed, you know, my mom helped out with. And I remember my mom is standing in line at like the CVS, which, God, why would she go to the CVS to get snacks? Because that shit is so expensive. But, you know, that's where she was, and her arms are, you know, she has like everything, and she's trying to get something like off like the end cap, and, you know, her arms are like already like so full, and there was this older black gentleman like right behind her, and he like scoffed, and, you know, so my mom, you know, being my mom, turned around to like see what's up, and was like, what's up, you know, like, how are you doing? And I don't remember what he like said to her initially, but it was something along the lines of like, ma'am, are you sure you need all those snacks? Because you're looking a little, you know, on like the hefty side, which, yes, my mom is a plus size woman. And I do commend my mom for like the way that she handled the situation, because I probably would have been like, hey, fuck you, mind your business. But you know, she very politely informed him, you know, well, actually, none of this is for me, and one of my friends was in a very bad motorcycle accident, and, you know, his wife is unable to leave or whatever, and just wanted some like quick snacks. She speaks broken English. I couldn't understand her. I don't know exactly what she likes, so I wanted to make sure that I got a variety of things, so, you know, I could ensure that there was something here that she liked. And he just kind of like, you know, was like, oh, you know, like, yeah, you know. And Thanksgiving is like a week away. And so and you know, Mom, she didn't do it in a manner that was like, you should feel bad because this is actually what I'm doing, you know. She just kind of like said it like matter-of-factly, and you know, Mom, she goes, you know, what's your name? He told her, and they got to talking, and you know, she asked him, hey, do you have any plans for the holidays? And this man had no family. She said, you know, I know you don't know me, but I would really like for you to come to Thanksgiving. And he came to Thanksgiving. He did. He stopped by.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he stopped by for a while. So yeah, I do have to give my mom some credit, but that does not mean that my mom does not have racist tendencies just embedded like in her being. If you know, I've been in the car with her, and we've been walking to the car, I mean, from like the grocery store, and there, you know, has been like a random black man crossing the parking lot, you know, and she's, you know, just, you know, keep looking, trying to rush me in the car and everything. And I'm like, well, hey, what's your problem? And she's like, you know, strange man over there. And it's like, is he strange because he's black? And no, you know, but that's exactly what it is, because, you know, we've been in other similar situations, you know, granted not at the Walmart, not like that matters, but where it's like a random white person walking by and nothing, you know. So I think that where I wish that people could be maybe a little bit more accountable of or recognize the way that they feel, and know like, hey, like this isn't right, and I need to work on changing it.
Do you think she even realizes she's doing it?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that she realizes now. So whenever I bring it up, and I'm like, you know, Mom, that's a little racist. She's like, I'm not racist, because she doesn't feel racist. You know, but on that note, if I'm being completely honest here, I too have racist tendencies, and I have to, if I think something, I have to stop myself and be like, whoa, hold on now. That's not right, and that's not fair.
Is it a racist tendency or a negative stereotype?
I mean, if the negative stereotype is racist, then what's the difference?
Yeah.
But
good point.
But you know, I think that you know, like everything that I've like said earlier, America's history is racist, and that just translates to the next person and the next person. You know, because it's just, you know, like how people are brought up.
Oh yeah, perpetuates itself. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So if I cannot do my part unless I'm holding myself accountable as well, and you know, like as a white woman, I just straight up know that I have more advantages than, you know, a black woman. And I don't feel the way a black woman feels. How could I? I told someone earlier today, like, you know, I told her, I wish that there was something that I could say to you to genuinely express, you know, like how sorry I am that, you know, this, whatever, you know, was happening. But I don't have the words because I don't know how it feels. I just, you know, I don't, I can be sympathetic with the situation, but it's virtually impossible for me to be empathetic. So the only thing that I can do is listen to my black friends, and you know, really hear them out. You know, not talk over them. I don't, and you know, or I try my best not to invalidate them by any means, but yeah, like this whole process is a lot of self accountability. And you know, as far as my boyfriend goes, I would never be able to be romantically involved with someone who did not feel the way that I feel. And I was super just skeptical about getting involved with him, which I'm glad that I did. Me thinking this way wasn't fair towards him because I was definitely stereotyping, but he does construction work. That's blue collar work. How do construction workers, like typically think or feel, or, and that's me stereotyping right now. There's a little truth to the stereotype for sure. That's why it's a stereotype. But I was like, oh gosh, like I know that we're absolutely gonna probably clash on this, and when we do, like that's gonna be that. But despite him working with mainly older people, majority being white, he does not feel the same way. And I think that before we got together, I don't want to say that like he ignored like certain issues. Like he definitely knows that it's not the most even playing field. Like he recognized that Black communities are policed way more, Black people are arrested way more, they longer sentences. Like he knows that. But that's about it. It was, he just wasn't. He wasn't ignoring it, but he wasn't paying attention to it. Like he wasn't acknowledging it. And so, the more and more that we like talked about it, the more and more I heard how he felt. And so, now he'll come home and he'll be like, hey, get a load of this, like at work. Because I think when things used to be said at work, he didn't say anything back. He didn't agree with it, but he didn't say anything back. But these guys at work were asking him, how would you feel if your daughter brought home a Black guy to date? Like, wouldn't you be upset? And Jeremy was like, why? And as soon as like they figure that someone's not going to agree with them, it's kind of like
you're out of the group.
backpedaling, trying to not make it seem the
I'm
way
not
that
racist, but
oh gosh, right. So how would you feel? And Jeremy was like, I wouldn't feel bad at all if she's happy and if she's being taken care of and she's safe. Then like what's the problem? And then they have like a Black man on their crew, and this man is like a mixed martial artist or something that is a black belt, and not only like in martial arts here, but like different countries. Like he works very, very, very hard, very kind. He goes, my daughter brought home him, I would be happy. I would be happy for her. I would know that she was like protected and loved, and taken care of and provided for and stuff. So I am happy that he is saying something now, because we all gotta like hold each other accountable.
And I was gonna ask you, do you feel being a white person in America responsible for the plight of America toward African Americans?
Are you asking if I feel responsible for the way white people treat Black Americans?
Yeah, like I see a lot of specifically talking about slavery.
Like if I have white guilt.
Yes.
About.
Yes.
I don't think that I have white guilt, but I am ashamed of what has happened. And I think that I would feel, I think that whenever I get old, if I make it that far, if I didn't do anything, and if I didn't just like protest with my friends or stand up for my friends or what have you, I think that I would probably have white guilt then. The worst thing in the world to me is me looking back and not having like done anything. I think about the civil rights movement, and you see pictures of the Black people walking into the school, and there's white angry people screaming at them like with their signs and stuff, and it's like, God, I just don't want to be on the wrong side of history, because there is a right and there is a wrong side. And I honestly feel like if you don't do anything, then you are on the side of the oppressor. You are not actively helping. So the only thing that I can do is make sure that my actions are like in alignment with my moral compass. I do believe that white privilege exists.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that I have white privilege,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that I should use my white privilege to my advantage. And what I mean by that is I do not think that white privilege means that white people haven't suffered, or white people don't experience injustice, or, white people aren't poor. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen stuff circulating on Facebook like, I wish some of that white privilege was around whenever I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked
Mm-hmm.
my whole life. Well, that's not what that means. My white privilege is that I, as a white person, can carry an assault rifle across state lines, shoot people, walk around after curfew as a minor, not even legally allowed to have the weapon, by cops, and I'm not shot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
While, there's Tamir Rice, or I'm sorry, I always get their two names confused and I hate it. But Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin was the one that got shot by George Zimmerman.
Yes.
So Tamir Rice, which was a 12-year-old little boy who was playing with a toy gun at the park,
Mm-hmm.
and it was, missing the little orange
Mm-hmm.
tip on top. Cops got there. Well, first the 911 call was made, and they I think it's a kid at the park, but they have a gun, and the 911 caller just isn't very sure, but they're like, I don't know, can someone check it out? And
Mm-hmm.
cops show up, and he's shot within 4 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
So it does not mean that you haven't struggled or you haven't had to work your fucking ass off, for your whole life. But I do recognize that by my skin, I have different opportunities. If I'm going to a job and, I'm a white woman, and, the other applicant is a black woman who is more qualified for me, it's likely that I'm going to get that job
Mm-hmm.
just because of my skin.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's fucked up. So whenever I say I use my white privilege as an advantage, I was at the grocery store one time, and the woman in front of me was paying for her groceries, and the people behind me had made the comment, I bet she's gonna pay with her food stamp card. Look, she's eating better than us, and blah, 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 blah. And I just turned around and looked. I wish I would have said something right then, which is exactly what I don't want to do in the future. I don't want to look back and be like,
Right.
I wish I did.
Right.
I do wish I said something then, but she does pull out her food stamp card to pay. Back then, it's like a gray card now, but there used to be an American flag on the car, and it was very, very noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're smirking and laughing and stuff, and the card gets declined. I've been on food stamps before
Mm-hmm.
while I'm working and in college and stuff, so I know how it works. If you have $100 worth of groceries, but there's only $99 on that food stamp card, it's going to get denied.
Mm-hmm.
You have to tell them, hey, there's $100.02 on here. Please run it as that.
Mm-hmm.
And they said something to this woman about their tax dollars is paying for her to have better food than them.
Mm-hmm.
And the look on her face, I will never forget. She looked exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to argue with them. She didn't want to fight with them. Clearly, she was embarrassed. It was just, fuck, I get embarrassed whenever I'm holding up a line because there's something wrong with my card,
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up turning around and I said, which I wasn't at the time, but I said, I'm buying all of my food with food stamps. Is there a fucking problem?
Mm-hmm.
And the lady at the register and the lady who was paying for her groceries were just kind of whoa, and they were like, no, no problem, blah, blah. Yeah. She was like, my mom's on food stamps, and then I was like, then what the fuck is your problem?
Right.
What does your mom do? What's wrong with your fucking mom? Was your mom lazy? Just
Right.
because I heard their whole commentary. It's so what's the fucking problem with this woman who was in scrubs? It looked like she worked at the hospital. Okay, and that's like a whole other thing. Like, why the fuck does she need to be on food stamps when she's working in the hospital? Like she's been to school for what she's done. She should be making enough money. That's another thing. So I used my voice because they felt like they could bully this woman, and they did, and nothing was going to happen. So I spoke up for her, and they weren't going to argue with me, So I feel, or not even I feel, but I have been told from my Black friends that when things like that happen, which it happens a lot, that they feel like they can't address it because whenever they get rightfully upset, like that would piss anybody the fuck off. When they get rightfully upset and offended, then they are seen as loud, combative, causing a scene, like whatever. And it doesn't end good. It doesn't end good for them. So, but what are they going to do to me? Nothing, So I feel like I should use my voice in situations where, maybe they're not ready to speak up for themselves. They're too tired to speak up from speaking up for themselves. Like, whatever, or if they simply just don't want to, because, like I said, I'm not going to have the same reaction from people as they might, and then, it's hopefully they'll think fucking twice before they say something like that again, because they'll be like, fuck, well, I don't want someone to yell at, I want people to be so embarrassed and ashamed that, they think twice before they, like, say something like that again. Like, keep that shit to yourself, So, yeah, I think that there's a lot to do, there's a lot to be done, and the only thing we can do is listen and then do our best and work together and hold people accountable, because, the police are out of control, and not just toward minorities, but, I mean, like, the police are out of control whenever it comes to abuse of power and, just everything. It's so fucked. It's all fucked, and I shouldn't feel bad for wanting it to be better, and that's definitely what people do.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that going around.
I know. Can I ask you a question? Are you one of those that can admit when they're wrong, even whenever it's hard to admit when you're wrong?
So, I have a friend who, when the drug test for food stamps first came out, when you were talking about drug testing for food stamps, and she got on Facebook and was like, this is messed up, shouldn't be doing that. And I got back on, fired up, and was like, why not? I mean, if they're not being drug tested, wouldn't you agree that maybe it's a misappropriation of funds, like they're using that money for drugs as opposed to food? So we go back and forth, and this is over a span of a couple of days. And I hope she listens to this, because she'll know who she is. We've been friends since middle school and are still friends to this day. But she made a comment, and I forget exactly how she said it, but she was pretty much like, I don't care about that, because the ones who are going to suffer are the children, because they're the ones who aren't getting food regardless of what the parents are doing or not doing with the money, which you have no right to talk about. And as soon as she said that, I was like, God damn, she's right. Like, I didn't even think about the kids. You know what I mean? So I can admit when I'm wrong. It's always a hindsight thing, of course, I think that's a tough thing for anybody, though, to identify that and then correct yourself. But it's very important to do that, because I think that's how you grow mentally. Otherwise, you're stuck in 1950.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which that was the point that I was getting to, is that virtually it's hard for anybody to do that. We don't like to admit that we were wrong. We naturally want to be right. And we don't want to admit that our actions have hurt someone else or have harmed someone else or just wasn't good, and so whenever people are like called out on their behavior, they feel attacked as a person, like, well, you're saying that I'm bad and I'm this and I'm that and I'm, like, I gave that homeless person money, like last week, whatever. Like no one wants to think that they're bad, but I think that it takes a lot of guts and a lot of balls to be able to step back and be like, I am contributing to this. I shouldn't be. And what do I need to do to hold myself accountable and hold others accountable? Because it's a lot easier to pretend like everything is fine. You don't have to put any time or effort or energy into it. It just, that's the way it's been, and, that's the way it's going to be. It's a lot harder to recognize that, things need to be addressed, whether it's, outside of ourselves or within ourselves. So anybody who can do that, whether it's like hindsight or not, I really appreciate that kind of person, because that's just what we need, the people who pretend and don't care. I'm waiting for them to die. I'm waiting for them to be weeded out.
And honestly, that's a problem that I've had personally, something that I work on, and it's been going on probably all my life, but predominantly within the last 6 to 8 months. It's not that I'm out there doing stuff to people, but the fact that I'm not really doing anything is pretty much one and the same. I don't have to be out there saying the N-word, but if somebody says it and I don't correct it, then I might as well have said it.
And I do have to agree, and I would be lying if I said every single time that I see something I call it out. I do not have the mental capacity for that, because like I had said earlier, like I will get so emotionally drained from going back and forth with people. And I always try to be respectful. It doesn't matter if they disagree with me. I want them. I want to present them with facts. I'll cite my sources. I will provide links that I make sure, like, are from like independent places or the actual like study of something. I won't cite like super conservative sites or super left sites and stuff, because obviously that's gonna be weighted a certain way. I do my best to make sure that whenever I'm engaging someone, it's to genuinely show them, like, hey, I'm not attacking you, but what you're saying right now is not chill, my dude, and there's no place for that here.
Right.
And sometimes people will offer me, like the same courtesy, but like as soon as someone resorts to like the name calling and stuff, it's I can't even. I can't do it. I used to get so emotionally invested. I would cry. Why don't these people like see where I'm coming from? Like I'm being logical here. Like I'm literally citing actual history and legit statistics. Like why are they making excuses? And
well, first out, you got to clear out the trolls, because those guys are just there to cause trouble. Then whatever's left, you try to educate. But I do agree that there is I think there's a right and a wrong way to educate somebody,
To be honest, I feel like I'm slowly getting to the point, and I wish it wasn't. I haven't been able to decide whether or not this is like right or wrong. But I'm getting to the point that I don't want to educate you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know
right from wrong.
But I don't have to show you videos on, this police officer who has shot like this person in straight up cold blood. You know it's fucked up, and you don't care. And I feel like I'm slowly like becoming hostile to agree to these people. Like I'm not giving as much of like a detailed explanation because if they want to know, they should go look. I went and I fucking looked.
Mm-hmm.
I went and I fucking read.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I gonna just, here you go, from all like the hours and hours of shit that I've read, like do your fucking like research.
Mm-hmm.
And people who are just in direct like opposition to how I feel, I'm getting to the point where like I'm just really fucking mad because you feeling the way that you feel directly fucks up someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a matter or it's not a difference of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Your opinion quite literally like kills people and hurts people and really fucks up people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like slowly losing my patience, and I don't think that I want to be that way, but at the same time it's like these people fucking know. They fucking know.
Mm-hmm.
And out of all the back and forth I've ever gone with people, I don't think that I've ever swayed someone. They're not going to be swayed unless they want to be, or if they're open to the information anyway. Mm-hmm. They're always going to, what about this,
Mm-hmm.
or poke holes into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just increasingly becoming less patient and less tolerant and more angry, because I feel like the way that some people think directly like harms other people. People who like I stopped being friends with someone that I have been in classes with since we went to St. Christopher's together, which was pre-K.
Mm-hmm.
We were in kindergarten together, and then like 2nd, 3rd, 5th grade, some middle school. Didn't go to high school together, but we grew up together with the same friends, and she thinks being gay is abomination. We get along with everything else, and this is what I mean by it's just not a difference of opinion. Like we got into it, and I was like, honestly, I am gonna have to take a step back, and we're not cool. We're not cool. Don't hit me up. Don't ask me how I'm doing. I actually think I'm about to delete you. Like I don't really like want to see your shit. And I know that thinking like that is a problem in of itself. Mm-hmm. But the way she thinks and the way she feels influences her actions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She's also pro-life, and I am very much pro-choice. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. her choices and what she advocates for affects me. Mm-hmm. I've had very serious like reproductive problems. I've had lots of surgeries on my uterus. I had ovarian cancer. I was told that I would not be able to have kids, and I have a split uterus. So I have 2 uterus that goes down to 1 cervix. So theoretically, let's say both of them worked. I could be 3 months pregnant in one side and then get pregnant on the other side.
Wow, that's crazy.
Super uncommon. Does one of them work and one doesn't? I know at least one works because I have been pregnant before. Mm-hmm. But I ended up needing a medically necessary abortion, mm-hmm. or else I was going to die. Mm-hmm. And, her views said that, that's not okay in any case. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm here. I am here, and I've been here for 21 years. Why is a clump of cells more important than me? I'm already established. I'm already a being with a consciousness and everything. Like, I'm gonna choose me. You know, like every single time. Like, why are you, like, she would straight up advocate, like, you know, go out with her, like, signs and stuff, you know, and it's like, you know, abortion is, women's healthcare, and so, you know, we don't talk, I haven't even really thought about her, before this, and it just sucks because we were good friends and we did get along and we have had fun times. But if you're actively like contributing to, you know, the oppression of Black people or the oppression of women or whatever, I don't have time for you, and I don't wanna explain why it's fucked up. Like you know it's fucked up, and there's just.
I think it's awesome you can do that. I wish I could trim more of that poison out of my life.
Oh, it's so.
I guess I'm a glutton for punishment.
It is so easy. It is so. I used to just use the unfollow button on Facebook, like, oh, I still kind of want to, like, be friends with this person, but you know, I don't want to delete them.
Yeah,
you know,
that's it.
And then, you know, because I've deleted people before, and I've gotten message like, you know, months later when they realize like I've deleted them, like, hey, like, what, you know, what's going on? And I used to not want to have that confrontation of being like, well, I kind of think that you're a piece of shit, a big one. And fuck it, I just started telling people, like, I obviously know where you stand, and you obviously know where I stand, and, you know, that's just kind of that. But yeah, no, I'm.
I think we're at a point where we need that brutal honesty right now.
I feel that way too. I think that is super important, and honestly, like, it's pretty refreshing. Yeah, I'll get sad, you know, because I'll be like friends with someone for a long time. Like, some of my friends I've had for a very long time, and we still are in contact, and I am confident that, you know, we'll be friends as long as, like, we're alive. It's just that kind of friendship. And, you know, some of the good friends, it's just like, yeah, I would love to have your friendship, but, you know, like, that's really like an elephant in the room that I can't ignore, because, you know, if, you know, like the woman who supported pro-life at all costs, like, we're supposed to be friends and you're supposed to care about me, and, you know, like, I'm going through something that is not my fault and that I have no control over, and you're not choosing me, and you're not choosing my life or my health. Misinformation surrounding all of this stuff blows me the fuck away. You know, X person can say something, not fact check it, not, you know, just they say it. You know, like I said earlier, it will agree with, you know, the next person's preconceived notions on the matter, and if someone else agrees with them, it has to be true. And then that just, you know, just like gets spread. You know, I'll hear like pro-choicers say, it's outrageous that they abort full-term babies and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, are you fucking idiot? Are you, like, have you looked into what you're even fucking saying? Like, late-term abortions like that don't fucking happen. They don't fucking happen. If that baby can survive outside of your womb and it's healthy, it's not getting aborted. Okay, the ones in which this is, like, really, really tragic to me, which is, I'll get so upset with people because they're just like smashed in someone's like fucking face. You know, the women who get late term abortions, it's so fucking tragic for them. You know, if you're 30, 35 weeks pregnant, and you're like demonizing a woman for getting abortion, like, one, you are absolutely a piece of shit, because that baby is 35 weeks. That baby was wanted. That baby was loved. That baby was probably named. That baby probably had a nursery, and, you know, had a mom and a dad that, you know, loved it and was excited for, you know, its arrival. You know, that baby was going to have a home. And something tragic happened. There's no heartbeat or there's no brain.
Mm-hmm.
It happens, and the baby has to. Typically, it's they induce labor, so it's not an abortion. You birth it. You're like making these women feel like fucking shit who are already going through like something just like so fucking like tragic. Like literally, shame on you.
First of all, I don't think a man should have a dog in the fight. You're not a woman. You have no idea.
Absolutely, the fact that there's so many men that regulate my body pisses me the fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Pisses me the fuck off.
As I think it should.
Because because if the tables were turned,
yeah.
It would not fly.
Mm-hmm.
It would not fly like that. And there's just a huge double standard whenever it comes to men, like versus like women, anyways. And everything is like centered around like a man, and a man's pleasure and a man's access to like stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's completely different. I think that women should have the right to free birth control.
Mm.
For multiple different reasons. Like birth control just does not prevent pregnancy,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it will regulate people with irregular periods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Prevent pregnancy. So I think that women should have access to affordable, if not free, birth control for sure. I also think that birth control for men would be great. If they wanted that option, but it's just like there's such a double standard.
There is though.
Whenever,
You're right.
Whenever I had ovarian cancer, I was like, can't you just take it all out like that? That will fix the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my doctor, is like, well, yeah, but then you wouldn't be able to have kids. And I'm like, you just told me that it's unlikely that I'll be able to have kids anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, yeah, but you might want kids like later if you can have them. And I'm like, so I have to keep this like sickness inside of me on the chance that I might be able to have kids later if it doesn't kill me. And then but yeah, like in Florida you have to have 2 children already. You have to be above a certain age.
Yeah, I've heard this.
And a lot of times your husband has to consent. Why the fuck does my husband have to consent? So
yeah, my dad was telling me a story about when he was married to his first wife. They called him for consent for that, and he was telling me that, and it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, because my first thought would be like, it's not my body.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you what to do.
Exactly.
With your body, you know what I mean?
Whenever men have to get a vasectomy, they just schedule the appointment. Some men don't want kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Like, some women are so happy being mothers, and some women can't even imagine taking care and providing for something. And that's okay too. Mm-hmm. They want to take on a different role, But yeah. That's the hill I'm going to die on. All these social justice issues.
Well, that's good. I mean, at least you're trying to do something, Armchair quarterbacks drive me crazy. Like you were talking about, I all of a sudden, everybody's an expert attorney.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And before that, they were an expert disease specialist.
Oh, fuck.
And what were they before that? Some sort of political advent junkie, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know, people are just nuts, and I don't want to discourage people from caring about like serious issues, but know when to shut the fuck up and know when to listen.
Well, if you have nothing to add, don't say anything.
Thank you.
I mean, it's not that no one wants to hear your opinion, but read the room,
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I don't want to hear that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, you're right. Definitely.
I love opinions. I don't care what they are. I love to hear people talk and tell me stuff, about themselves and about what they think and how they... That's why I started this whole podcast, so I could, because I think people have some wonderful stories and beautiful things that they want to put out there, but never get a chance because they're told to shut up or...
Yeah, no, I think that this is a super good idea. yeah, I'm excited to listen to other people. I understand where you're coming from. Maybe people from like different backgrounds or political views will be like, like that makes sense, or I feel that way too, and we just need to understand each other, a little bit more, is all, and be open to the fact that we might be wrong.
Well, and that's it. I think it, first and foremost, we need to learn how to communicate again. I think we've de-evolved so much that we've lost that fundamental thing, that connects us. You have an idea and you connect it and share it with other people, and then they share it and they share it and they share it. But
that's what I was saying. Like, I can't make up my mind on whether or not like I'm wrong or right for feeling so like hostile in certain things.
I heard a good question the other day. It was, does it matter if you're wrong about why you're right?
Damn.
You can be right, but be wrong about why you're right.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah, it's crazy. It made me think, man. I was like, it's not an epiphany, a paradox. I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I have these struggles too. Well, I have 3 questions that I ask everybody at the end. So I'll go ahead and ask the first one. What do you love about yourself?
I love my ability to put myself in someone else's shoes. I do feel like I am pretty good at listening to someone else and why they feel, the way they feel, and holding myself accountable based on that. I, despite what I was saying earlier about like how, like what these people, I'll write them off, I do very much care about people. I care about people that I don't even know. I want everyone to be happy, healthy, and successful. Like, whatever success means to them. And I am trying so fucking hard to make sure that I hold on to that ability to just be kind and caring to those that are different of me, or that I just about myself.
That's awesome, man. You're right. Don't change that. That's awesome. Well, what's one thing you hate about yourself?
I think that it would either have to be the way that I feel about myself, or not speaking up whenever I should, whenever it comes to myself. I'll yell at someone behind me in the grocery store, but whenever it comes to like something is happening to me, I won't have the voice to stand up for myself.
Well, what's one thing you wish you could change about the world?
I think that the world would be way better off if we weren't so self-absorbed and we had more compassion for the person next to us and complete strangers and the people that are different from us. Like I was saying before, like people are so isolated and just absorbed in their own life that is just so like fucked or stressful or whatever, that it's hard to even like step outside of that and worry about someone who doesn't have food or doesn't have a home, or someone whose house that burned down, because how can they, like, they're they're fucking 5'5" in a pool, when they're
6 foot deep.
Exactly. So
yeah.
if people cared, people cared about one another, I don't think that we would be in the position that we're in now. I feel like it would be completely different. So yeah.
Cool. Well, you come back anytime.
Thank you.